Um, I'm going to talk about processed foods today, in particular, ultra processed foods. Um, you are what you eat, and I recently, because of the rabbit hole that I went down, I threw out pretty much all the processed foods that we have in our house, partially gave it to friends to make them unhealthy, because I don't want to eat it. I don't want my daughter to eat it. I don't want my wife to eat it. Um, and let's get into it. So, what's the history and evolution of processed foods? Processed foods have actually undergone significant changes, especially recently. There used to be just basic preservation methods for processed foods, including salting and drying. However, more recently, there are modern additives and preservatives are used, and these additives, preservatives, they've been great because they increase shelf life. Uh, they're convenient. You have consistent flavor, but you are definitely sacrificing, at minimum, nutritional quality, but also health risks. So, nutritional quality. Ultra processed foods have lower nutritional value. They typically have higher levels of unhealthy fats, sugars, and salt, and while lacking essential nutrients. So, unhealthy fats, sugars, and salt, very easy to have too much of them. You should have very little of that. But they lack the essential stuff that you need to survive and thrive. In terms of health risks, ultra processed foods have been linked to several health issues, many health issues, I'll say, not several. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, dementia, depression, kidney disease, liver disease, and overall higher all cause mortality. So we have these foods that are being sold at every convenience store, every pharmacy, almost pretty much every supermarket that's essentially killing people in so many different ways. Um, the additive, they're also ultra processed foods have addictive qualities. Uh, they encourage you to eat more. They are researchers described as food addiction, and that's one of the ways that it causes, obesity, which causes so many other problems. Um, and the chemicals that are in them, and as a pharmacist, I'm very cognizant of the word chemical and how like you can use that in this like negative way about water is a chemical technically, but these are actually chemicals that are linked to health risks: artificial colorants, sweeteners, flavor enhancers, stabilizers, which make things taste good, but they also have been linked to many health risks. Now, this is the crazy thing, and this is the influence of the food industry. People talk about big pharma and the revolving door with the FDA, which you're an executive of big pharma, and it gets you a job in either leading somewhere in leadership FDA. And then a few years after leadership at FDA, you go back to big pharma. So what does that do? It creates this revolving door, and it's very similar in the food industry. So Dietary Guidelines and Advisory Committee. Some members have ties to food, pharmaceutical, weight loss corporations. So, like, it's this conflict of interest. There's a manipulation of the research in the media. The food industry has been accused of influencing scientific research and media coverage to basically downplay the risks of ultra processed foods. So, they've invested significantly to just like silence the research and media regarding these risks. And they use very interesting marketing strategies. Uh, they heavily market these products to people with less access to healthier options. So, poor people, poor areas are getting marketed these products hard. And, why not? Like, it's much easier to get some cornflakes or some ramen or whatever other processed Cheetos than to actually make food for yourself. And I will have a suggestion at the very end of this video. So, the recommendation for consumers: dietary choices. consume mostly unprocessed or minimally processed foods, whole grains, beans, fruits, and vegetables. You've heard that before, all right? Whole. I'm not going to be cliche at the end, so watch this. Moderation. If you do consume ultra processed foods, do it in moderation. My recommendation: only on the weekends. Label reading. Pay attention to nutritional labels and ingredients. Foods with fewer and more recognizable ingredients are generally less processed. Okay. Organic options. Buy organic. Okay, great. Um, so there are some governments and states that are stepping up the regulation. California has actually passed laws banning certain chemicals in foods. Um, I will I will recommend this, and I've started doing this a while ago with soups, but I discovered this with smoothies as well. If you want to get the right amount of vegetables and fruits in your diet, and you basically don't want to be chewing celery all day, this is my recommendation. You always have soup and smoothie in your fridge. And soup and smoothie are the easiest things to make because you can literally, for soup, take almost anything from your pantry, and from your fridge, take almost anything from your fridge: meats, vegetables, even some fruits. Not really ideally fruits, but meats, vegetables, not too much meat because you don't want to have too much meat, but pretty much any vegetable that's about to spoil or whatever. Um, and uh, you just put it together and you got a soup. And then for a smoothie, take any of the fruits that you have, put it together with some almond milk or some regular milk, whatever, and even some vegetables, some celery, some herbs. Throw it in, and boom, you got a smoothie. And you got your fruits, and you got your vegetables, and not processed. So that's my recommendation, folks. I hope you. This is actually a super important video because this is one of the best things you can do for your life. Do it. Don't wait.